This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Saturday Morning Mysteries, where we are your hosts. I'm Alexis.
I'm Grace.
And we are here to do our thing, which is telling true, quote-unquote, crime comedy tales based on classic animated cartoons. We are currently in the midst of our Courage the Cowardly Dog arc, which has been very funny, creepy, spooky, full of crimes, all of the above, all wrapped in one. And today is, I believe, our 4th episode. So smack dab in the middle if we follow whatever loose rules we have on this podcast. And Grace will be our wonderful story. She will be our storyteller, damn it. That's what I'm trying to say. So I will allow her to take it away.
Great. I'm so excited for this episode. So
you can tell by your Sorry, if you're listening to the podcast, you can't see right now. We're just doing very weird, like pinchy hand motions. That yes. Very Zoidberg-esque. Like,
yes. So right before we hit record, I started telling Alexis that I need to talk about the music of this episode because I just wanted to start today off by generally flagging how incredible the soundtrack to Courage the Cowardly Dog is, and not in the way of like, oh, they picked like popular songs at the time, but like full scale composing and composition that they went down to create some of the music. Much like Alexis in your, I guess it'd be 2 episodes ago for you, like 3 episodes ago in our arc of like the acapella sing in Doc Gerbil when like
and
it's a
Doc Gerbil's world.
Yeah, in Doc Gerbil's world. But yeah, it's like acapella, like slow motion water, like speedboat chase. And the episode I'm going to be telling you about today. So the reason why I want to start off with talking about this music is that every single time in this episode that our criminal / villain / evildoer today is on screen at all, there's this, like, I can only describe it as synth opera. So it has like a synth, like steady, like do 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 do, but then like an ominous like children's choir singing over it. It's so scary.
What?
It's just like do 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 do, like some like Latin or some shit. Just every time he's doing something.
It's like if The Exorcist and like Deadmau5 did a collab.
That's exactly what it is. It's like terrifying and perfect and evil as hell. Like,
wow.
So good. And yeah, every time this criminal is like up to something nefarious, it's just like that, or like showing the impact of him. So I want you to just keep that at like soundtrack playing in your head throughout this episode.
So much. Oh my God. It's so weird.
It's so weird.
Yeah.
And it's so good. So anyway, so this episode to this incredible soundtrack.
I cannot wait.
Yes, is season 2, episode 13, part A and B. So it's a 2-parter.
Oh, you're doing both parts.
Because it's just the same. It's just one long episode.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not really split into 2 different things. It's like, even in like the episode title, they call it like part 1 and part 2. So it's just a normal episode 13, basically.
Gotcha.
And this episode that I'll get to here momentarily, opens with, again, that said ominous synth opera music as we see bombs going off in the middle of nowhere under like an evening, like purple sky. But not just any bombs. Specifically, we see cannons flying into nowhere. And as they impact, more cannons, always cannons. And as they impact, they give off these like electric blue, essentially like mushroom clouds. But as what they're hitting in the city is citizens of nowhere, men, women, animals, literally children. Like we see like a little girl jump roping and then gets hit with one of these cannonballs.
Oh my God.
And we see, like the blue, like mushroom cloud just exploding. And it makes people of Nowhere not just drop like flies, but it turns all their skin like this like pukey green color. And they're dropping down not because they're dead, don't worry, but they become suddenly unable or really unwilling to get up. And they just they don't actually become zombies, but they bring that kind of air all of a sudden into the city that like they're nothing more than like a shell of a human being who just like, why would I bother to get up? And again, no one is spared from this onslaught. Again, we literally see a child get hit by this. And it grinds the city.
The crime
to
of jump roping.
Yeah. No jump roping on the sidewalk. Damn it. Hit him with a bomb. Dark.
Anyway, sorry.
Again, to the creepy music. There. And slowly we see the source of these cannons enter the screen. And they're coming from an enormous stone tower, like a single spire tower. That, yeah, are you remembering this episode?
Yeah, it's like vaguely coming back to me. I was like, where is this going? Okay.
And the tower has these like big, like metal spider legs at its base, and that's how the tower is moving. Kind of all like Wild Wild West with like Will Smith.
I love that movie.
Also, that soundtrack. What can we do? Wow. I know that whole song by heart. Fun fact.
Dude, I don't blame you. That's just a banger. That was like one of my favorite movies growing up. No shame. Wait.
Yeah.
Never mind. Okay. Never mind.
Anyways, it's like that
forever. Cool.
Yeah. And it's slowly making its way closer and closer to Nowhere, the town that it's currently decimating. And as the tower gets closer, we see the mayor of Nowhere, who's just some large dude with a big bushy mustache, tell his advisor, "We've been bamboozled. Give that madman whatever he wants." So this madman, only a mere hours earlier, had actually been in the mayor's office, extorting, maybe blackmailing, threatening. Yeah. The city of Nowhere to back his project. He's just looking for an investor, basically, at the mere price tag of $33.33 billion. Understandably, the mayor laughed the man out of his office.
Even New York City wouldn't be able to foot that kind of bill for some random madman unless he like worked on Wall Street anyway.
Anyways, but as he's getting laughed out of the office, the so-called madman said that if he doesn't get the money, he will use Nowhere as part of his research. So again, threatening. And we clearly see how that went, as now there are bombs being set off on the citizens of Nowhere. So, who was this madman? Why is he bombing the city? What's happening with these cannonball things? What does this have to do with courage?
Yeah.
So, this so-called madman is this like spindly guy, like very, very like thin, kind of weak looking guy with this enormous head with, he's mainly balding. He's got like a couple of wisps of like hot pink hair, which really pop against his sickly like neon green lime skin. Yeah. I mean, you're like, ooh, pink hair. Oh,
gangrene.
Distract from the gangrene with the pink hair. And he looks like he's straight up, it doesn't just look like he hasn't slept in years. He basically hasn't slept in years. And he speaks with a thick Croatian accent, which classic cartoons pinning villains on Eastern Europeans.
Yeah, why? What?
This is not the first time we've run into this.
No.
And just as a quick note, like The Cold War is over. This episode came out in like, I think 2001.
Yeah.
So it's not like America propaganda.
It's been quite a while
since
we were in conflict with Eastern Europe.
Yeah. So I'm like not sure why that's
point,
the like that's who's evil vibe. But I also want to pre-apologize because I do all Eastern European accents the same. And I don't know the difference between any of them. I'm bad at any of them, but we're gonna say I'm gonna do a Croatian accent today.
Awesome.
This is a pre-apology that I know there's different dialects, very diverse cultures and different cultures, but look, in America we grew up with the same accent and they just said it was different Europeans.
Also,
my ignorance.
Also, let's kind of blame the writers and stuff of these cartoons too, because like they also don't know.
Yeah, they do not know.
They just very vaguely are like, just some sort of Europeanish accent. I don't know. Like for all we know, it could be like 5 different dialects that the voice actor is like just merging together. Like, this is a Eastern European.
Yeah, so it's going to be a bad accent from me, and I would like to put that out there to start.
Awesome. Okay. Fair disclaimer.
Yes. But I do know that it's specifically or supposed to be a Croatian accent because his name is actually a Croatian word. And his name is Zalost. Dr. Zalost, or Zalost, as he says it, to be exact. And in Croatian, Zalost means sadness.
Oh, wow.
I know.
Wow. I never knew his name meant something, and to know that's what it means makes me feel Zalost.
Wow, nice.
The more you know.
The more you know.
The little rainbow goes across the screen.
Anyway. So, as we do with most of our episodes, before I get into it, I'm going to wildly speculate here about Dr. Zalost and how he found himself in a bionic spider tower bombing a city. And as I do with many of my episodes, I won't say that you do this with yours, but I definitely do with mine. I would like to steep my speculation in a topic that I personally know next to nothing about.
Same. You can say that for me too.
But we'll act as if I do.
Excellent.
Thanks to Wikipedia.
Can I real quick just say that's the one rule of this podcast?
Skimming.
Everything skimming from Wikipedia. After that, like, do however many episodes you want. Talk about whatever you want, but you must skim Wikipedia first.
The lightest of skims.
Yes.
So in this case, for my episode today, Alexis, the said skimming of Wikipedia will be the Croatian War of Independence.
Oh boy.
A topic I'm sure you know much about.
Oh yeah. I wrote a thesis paper on it.
So don't worry though, I'm not going to talk about any of the details of the war because I was so unaware of Croatian history that I straight up didn't know it used to be part of Yugoslavia and only became an official separate nation in 1995. And I will take no further questions about that at this time.
I will ask none. I will ask none. Can I just say one other thing before you jump in here?
I would love it.
Just full disclaimer, ladies, gentlemen, anyone in between. This is in no way, shape, or form a war podcast.
Yes, thank you.
Why do we talk about war so much?
I don't know. Because it makes like for a good backdrop to a story. It adds drama.
It creates villains. Yeah. It adds drama, suspense.
Yes.
Anyway.
So that's the backdrop of my wild speculation.
Cool.
So again, no more further questions. I don't have any answers. But I do think that Zalost grew up in what would eventually become Croatia. And that he came from what was an esteemed family for actually most of the nation's history. So before World War II, fun fact, thanks Wikipedia, there were royal bloodlines in Yugoslavia. It used to be a monarchy of some variety. But during the war, it was occupied by Nazis. And then after the war, after World War II, it became all of these different Eastern European, now separate countries, but at the time, they all became the Socialist Federal Republic of Yugoslavia. And I assume all of the said royal bloodlines lost their thrones. They got ousted because suddenly it's a socialist republic. That ain't no monarchy anymore.
Kind of the opposite of a monarchy.
Yes, exactly. But again, I believe that Zalost came from this royal bloodline. And I think that his parents raised him explaining just how important he was, that he was royalty, and that everyone should not only respect him for it, but worship him for it. And he, their only child, and thus the last heir to their throne, deserved to get his throne back and be thanked for it, for retaking Yugoslavia / eventually Croatia back into a monarchy as ruled by him, as was his quote unquote blood right, according to his parents. So his family did retain some of their wealth, even though they lost their throne. I think that probably like when the Nazis came to Yugoslavia area, like his family probably like fucked off to like vacation somewhere in South America, kept their money, and then came back.
Brazil.
Sorry. It's not something more nefarious. Anyways, but sorry, they came back at some point, and Zalost went to the best schools in the Socialist Republic of Yugoslavia, growing up without having to really ever even raise a finger or probably even to go to class on most days. Anytime there was a naysayer as to why he was on, something like the varsity team, even though he couldn't even like lift up a basketball, or how he got into like a PhD program that I surmise was maybe in chemistry, even though he never even took like organic chemistry class. His parents would just pat him on the back. Clearly they paid his way into it, but tell him that it was just the jealous plebeians trying to keep him from his God-given rights as the rightful king of this grand country. And if Zalost got someone else got something that he didn't get, he would throw a fucking fit. But not just a fit until like he also got it. Like, something as small as like you got a piece of cake and I didn't get one. But he would throw a full tantrum until the other person got it taken away. So instead of his attitude of being, I want it because you have it, it is, if I can't have it, no one can have it. So very evil monarch-esque view.
Yeah, very entitled. Yeah.
Yes. So there may be some who could argue that his parents did all this because they loved him so much, that they spoiled him, that they wanted him to have such an easy life. But again, I think his parents were disgraced from the downfall of the monarchy and only had him to act as their heir and their puppet to eventually regain their throne. So remember, at this time, Yugoslavia was a socialist republic, yet Zalost's parents were able to pay his way into an impressive resume so he could have all those claims to fame when he eventually became king again. And in order to do such a thing in a country where that type of wealth shouldn't matter, they had to pay tenfold what they would have had to pay in bribes. So instead of just like, oh, here's a few $100, get him onto the sports team, here's tens of thousands of dollars, get him on the sports team.
Buy the sports team.
Yeah, exactly. So they had to pay every last cent that they had to get him, this spoiled ass little brat, just to seem impressive, even though no one was ever impressed with him because everybody knew that his parents were just paying his way. And his parents did so until the point that when they eventually died, I think his mother claimed that she was dying from heartbreak because she hadn't seen her son reclaim the throne. So also a lot of guilt riding going on, guilt tripping.
Yeah. You killed me, son.
You killed me. You're a failure. Your failures have killed me, so lost. In my
great.
Accent.
That was good.
Thank you.
I mean, again, I am one of these Americans who doesn't really know the difference, but it sounded Eastern European to me.
Thanks.
Sorry, guys.
So when his parents eventually died, I believe they died entirely penniless, having invested incorrectly in their own kind of shitty son. And when this happened, Zalost, when his parents died, Zalost moaned and groaned about how he was abandoned by them. But no one fucking cared about his whining. All he ever did was whine all the time. And primarily no one cared because he always whined about how life was unfair to him the whole time. Even during, like the fall of the monarchy, when literally the Nazis were invading.
Yeah, like
he was probably just a little infant crying about how, he can't, I don't know.
What did I do to deserve this?
Right, what did I do? The Nazis are here
for me.
It's so unfair for me.
He thinks that he's like the savior. Yeah. Well, to be fair, he's been groomed that way, but
exactly nature versus nurture, a little bit of both, but a lot of nurture, I think,
a little too much nurturing.
Yeah, and this weird lack of a nurturing with a lack of love. I think it was always just very demanding. You need to go do this. You need to go do this. You're gonna go to this school now. You're gonna put this on your resume now.
Yeah.
And again, his constant whining, I think, was a whining for attention because his parents never gave him loving attention. But another reason why no one cared at all about his moaning and growing is because I think his parents died around 1991 when the Croatian War for Independence was breaking out. So people have like a little more things to care about than some rich kid complaining. I think during this time, the sides tried to recruit him. So folks who wanted independence, people who wanted to stay part of Yugoslavia. That's as much as I can tell you about the sides. But as he was being pulled in either direction, Zalost realized that he wouldn't be handed a new throne by whatever side he went to, but instead he was going to get treated like any other civilian foot soldier. Again, like a peasant. Essentially, instead of saying, please come be our general and then our monarch of the new country we create.
Yeah.
So in classic, I guess, again, more things he learned from his parents, he fled the country and ran away as fast as he could when conflict rose up, I think.
Wow.
So in this case, he fled to America, where he expected to be welcomed like a god. Yes. I think
we have our own god here, buddy.
I think maybe that he had seen Coming to America with Eddie Murphy.
Man, that's another one of my favorite movies.
I know this episode was just full of great 80s and 90s.
Wild Wild West, Coming to America. You're just listening to hits, Grace. Anyway.
Yes. Anyway, so I think
going off on a tangent.
I think he had seen that movie. Like, I don't know if they had access to it in Eastern Europe, but maybe like when he was on his way, like fleeing, he saw it somehow and was like, yes, I will go to America. He only saw like the opening scene in which Eddie Murphy like gratefully walked in and everyone was like, wow, a king. And he was like, that's how I'll enter America.
He missed the whole part about McDowell's.
Yeah, he stopped watching after that.
Yeah. He's like, this is it. This is the movie. Movies are only 30 seconds long, right?
Yeah. This is me now. Great. So to no surprise, though, no one gave a shit about him when he came to America. He was just like another immigrant.
Someone just like throws a soda at him. He's like, I'm here, welcome me. Fuck out of the road, asshole.
Yeah, learn English. This is America.
What's up with your pink hair? Snowflake or something.
Why do you have green skin?
Yeah.
Like little did he know how racist America was. At all. And so luckily for him, he did retain some of the knowledge that he got in his doctoral program that his parents made him do / like paid for him to get into, and he occasionally went to class. And so again, he comes to America. No one gives a shit about him because, it's when does America care about immigrants? Whoops. Anyways.
Ooh, next one.
Anyways. This is a heated episode. Sorry, everyone. Wild Wild West, remember? Great movie.
Yeah. Coming to America.
And so in his cries for more attention, he's like, what can I do to make a splash here to show everyone how important I am? oh, you know what I should do? And I think maybe his degree was like bioengineering. He built a giant bionic spider tower. And specifically, he built this, I think, because he thought it was a castle that he thought he deserved, based on someone back in what is probably now Croatia, because at this point they had gained independence. But still, no one blinked an eye. They were just like, okay, compensating much, Zalost, for something. And again, moaned and groaned about how unfair life was for me. I'm supposed to be the king of this country. And at this point, sitting in his high bionic spider tower, I think Zalost fell into a deep depression at this point, upset that he was king of nothing and nowhere. And I will say real quick as a side tangent, I'm not shitting on depression here. Like the mayor calls him a madman and that type of stuff. It's very clear in this episode that like Zalost like straight up does suffer from depression, which like I also experience on top of my anxiety. So like at first I tried to write this episode like talking about depression and mental health, and I was like, this hits way too close to home actually. Yeah. I'm gonna flip it and reverse it and make it about like someone who wishes he was the Croatian king post-Croatian war instead, because that's easier to talk about for me.
That's more fun.
Yeah, it's like a lot more fun than talking about my own depression. Yeah. So we will be talking about depression in this episode, but like how you and I both deal with anything challenging, we talk about it with humor. So
it's our coping mechanism.
Yep. Whoop, there it is. That's who we are. So I will be talking about it. Yeah, with a lot of humor to me. But yes, I just want to put that out there.
Wonderful.
So anyways, he spent years just stewing in this tower that I assume was just like inching its way across America. Again, he's just moaning and groaning the whole way, and everyone's like, get out of here. Everywhere he went, until one day it clicked for him, a la his old tantrum days, as to why he was so depressed. He realized that everyone else around him was happy. And you know what? That was just not fair. And it wasn't fair because he wanted happiness too. It simply wasn't fair because everyone else had it and he didn't, which again, to his old days meant if he doesn't have it, no one can have it. So using this as a bit of his inspiration, he got to work creating these nuclear cannonballs that we saw at the beginning, which upon contact with someone fills them with depression and takes all of their happiness away. He calls them his unhappiness cannonballs. So they're basically like unhappiness balls, which the whole time I was just like, yeah, the entire episode. So because I'm mature. So again, that's what this yes, this is what this experiment is that he will hit people with the cannonballs to make them just as sad and depressed as he is, because just again, it's so unfair that everyone else is happy, but I am not happy. So it sounds a little German. It
kind of does. I was gonna say, I mean, you know, that's Eastern part. Well, was Eastern Europe at one point.
An amalgamation going on here. And so that became part one of his plan, was everyone else is happy. I'm not going to deal with that shit. Everyone else needs to be depressed like me. But two, he never let go, I think, of this instilled in him so-called birthright to be king. And after being in America for almost a decade at this point, he had seen that what is king in America? Money. So part two of his plan. Yeah, truly. I mean, again, he retained some of that information, all those very nice schools. So thus this plan came together, and he found himself in the closest town that his bionic tower had walked to, nowhere, Kansas, where he decided to try and extort them for the billions of dollars so he would be king of America. And as we will learn, though, of one, again, nowhere, Kansas is not going to have billions of dollars at all. Did he look at the town in any way, shape, or form? Two, I guess he did learn on the plus side of things that yes, billionaires are king in America.
Mm-hmm.
People idolize them. So his plan like totally wasn't off base.
No.
But as we will learn that with or without the money, the most important part of this plan became spreading his unhappiness no matter what. And so in stark contrast to this like loveless, delusional household that Zalost grew up in, we're going to cut away from wild speculation to go see our dear Courage the Cowardly Dog hanging out with his numero uno lady, Muriel. So Courage is in the kitchen with her, wagging his little tail like a little helicopter as she bakes for her little nowhere farm family. And she, on this day, with Courage's help, happens to be preparing her happy plums, which she says, due to her secret ingredient, which, by the way, I've learned through some episodes, is always vinegar. Like, Muriel constantly is always like, I put a little vinegar in it.
Yes, I've heard that a couple times now, too.
Yeah, always her baking secret ingredient.
Ew.
Yes. And she claims that just one bite will make anyone happy. And she says this because it, at the very least, makes Courage very happy as we see him scarf down multiple cups of it.
There's not just vinegar in those.
And you know there's not just vinegar in those because it even makes Eustace happy, who loves this dessert. So this dessert is fire.
PCP.
Yeah. Muriel, yeah, that's what they're doing. The Winnie Bago from your last episode is still sitting out on the farm, and she's a meth lab now.
Yeah.
That's what they're just making.
Yeah, cooking it up in there.
Exactly. So as
far away from law enforcement and police officers as we
as we established in Dr. Turble. Yeah. Are you far away from any police? Okay, excellent.
Okay, all right.
God, the voice acting in this show is just
amazing.
Anyway, so as these cute little bakers bake away on a lovely little Saturday afternoon, Eustace is actually heading into town because his damn newspaper wasn't delivered that day.
Oh, strange.
He decides to save dessert until later and just go into town and figure out where the frick his newspaper is. But to his chagrin, there's no newspaper at all that day. All of the journalists and editors at the store, at the office, were too tired and exhausted and sad to even write the newspaper for the day. And they just, why bother? Because it turns out they had already been hit by the cannons.
I thought they were just lazy workers. Kidding.
Wow, they're just doing like BuzzFeed listicles these days. Lazy journalists.
Jeez, they can't even go
damn journalists. Yeah. At this point, I will give you some credit that it's not like he's like going into a town where like bombs are going off. The cannons have stopped, and I will say, I'm pretty sure
it's like not an active war zone.
Yes, an active war zone. Also, I will say to what you just said, I think Eustace at one point when he comes back does say that all the journalists are lazy and no one wants to work. Like, I didn't put it in there because I was like, man, whatever. But I think
maybe I do understand Eustace now. Oh yeah,
like it's damn journalist. No one wrote the newspaper today.
No one wants to work. You can't find any good work anymore. I swear it's not the employer; it's the employees only.
Yeah, it's their fault. Yeah. So again, the cannons have stopped at this point because Zalost and his henchman, who I haven't mentioned yet, but he does have a little henchman who's just a like very like bulky rat, and his name is Rat. And I love Rat.
I love Rat.
He's almost like like Igor almost with like the hunchback, but he's like beyond that, just like
the tattered clothes.
No, he's naked. He ain't got no clothes on. He's got like the big hunchback. I want to say in my mind, I don't think he does, but in my mind, he's got like a little heart tattoo. He's like clearly like a street gang rat, like from like the streets of New York type of like an old timey one. Mainly because at some point we see him at this point, again, the cannons have stopped and we see Rat counting all of the money because the mayor did indeed give them the $33.3 billion. I don't know. Yes, I don't know how they got it. I think it goes into your theory, Alexis, that we'll get to at the end of our arc, that this is a town full of criminals.
Yeah.
Just through and through. And so like
community.
So they low-key had all of the like gold just sitting around.
They're like, look, we'll clear we'll expunge your record. All local crimes expunged. Just give us all your riches. You guys can go steal more shit after. This dude's gonna kill us all.
Exactly. Just pour it in, baby. Pour it in. You won't be able to do more crime if you're depressed. And if things are very hard when you're depressed, including crime.
Right.
But yeah. So Rat is sitting there and he's got like a little like visor on. He's just like counting the cash, which again is why I think he's like a little like street rat. And it's real cute. But they also stopped, not just because they finally got the money, but they were able to shoot every person in nowhere. So to them, the job is finished. However, like Rat is happy as can be. He's like, people are depressed. We got this money. Our like proof of concept, the R&D was all there. let's take it big, baby. We're billionaires now. Let's make a Tesla out of this depression cannonballs.
A solar powered depression cannonball.
Yeah. Exactly. We're gonna SpaceX this shit.
Hear me out, investors. They don't need the investors anymore. They've got $33.3 billion.
Exactly. But as Rat is happy as can be, counting all the cash monies, Zalost is in bed, kind of hilariously in like this bright green, or no, this like bright purple like robe like gown with like a green trim. It's clearly like his like PJs, and he's like very relatably like eating ice cream in bed and is just so depressed still, and rolls over to Rat and says, what's the point of all this money if I am not happy? If I am not happy, no one should be happy. So
that's right, money doesn't bring happiness. But sorry, also, wait, are you saying the Rat like walked up to him in bed, or the Rat was in bed with him?
They're in like the same room.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he just like turns. Okay, gotcha. When he
just like turns over.
I imagine they're like both laying on pillows, just like chatting with each other. Like,
no, I will say that like Zalost, again, didn't write this in here, but Zalost is like, after he says that, he's like, Rat, come here and give me a hug. Maybe that will make me happy. And Rat is like, bro, we got all this money. Like, why aren't you happy? Like, Rat is not sympathetic at all.
No. Rat's in it for the money. Zalost is looking 100%. For true meaning in life.
Yeah. Yeah. Zalost is like waxing philosophic, and Rat's like 1002, 1003, 1004.
And 33.3 billion.
Happiness was bought. Thank you. So as Zalost is just like, why am I not happy after all of this? The mayor is sending messages to Zalost being like, bro, we gave you the money, like free our city, please. Like somehow like make these people happy again. Like everyone's depressed. Like, please, like, you said you would if we gave you the money. But Zalost drones on and says, he's not going to do it because the money didn't make him feel any better. And then he hangs up on the mayor, turns back to Rat, and complains that people are so selfish. All they do is think of themselves. Bro.
Irony.
Look in the mirror.
Irony.
Look in the mirror. So anyways, at this exact moment of complaining and bemoaning that it's so unfair that this money didn't make him happy, that everyone else in the world, there are other people who are still happiness is unfair. Zalost hears honking outside of his tower, and he like shuffles out in his little matching slippers of like the like bright green and purple to see Eustace to see Eustace at the bottom of the tower in his like little dinky trunk, honking and yelling why they parked the tower in the middle of the road. And be like, damn you kids,
move this tower.
Yeah, stop in the middle of the road. And he just like whips around the tower, like waving his fist at the window, and drives around the tower. And that's when Zalost realizes, oh, we didn't get everyone in nowhere.
Someone. Oh, no.
Yeah, we missed someone. Maybe that's why I'm still unhappy. There were still people who have happiness around him, which is not okay. So Zalost and Rat follow Eustace to the farm, which obviously is not subtle at all. There's a giant bionic tower walking towards you. So Courage notices it right away out the window and is immediately like, this is some bad news, bears. Oh no. And I just want to remind you at this point that as the tower is approaching, and you should assume from here on out in the episode that every scene has the synth opera music happening in the background. Yeah, the whole time as it like slowly approaches and the storm is coming.
Oh my god.
So Eustace and Muriel also notice this giant tower approaching their home, and they go down on the porch to see what the hubbub is. Courage was in the attic and he's like, don't go out there. And so he starts to run down to get them off the porch because clearly he's like, this seems dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
And what I think is one of the funniest scenes in Courage the Cowardly Dog, there's many, but Zalost immediately fires the cannonballs of unhappiness, multiple of them, right at Eustace, and nothing happens. Eustace is just like yelling at them, like, get off my property. And Zalost and Rat say, oh, he must be immune to emotions. Like literally these like grumpy cannonballs are hitting Eustace, and he's just like, get off my lawn, you damn kids, I'm gonna go get my mallet.
He's like, come on, hit me with them.
Yeah, he like goes
I
inside
live
to
for
like
this shit.
Yeah, get a weapon to like chase them off of his property, but there's just like no impact with like the unhappiness thing, so he's already so unhappy.
He cannot be any unhappier.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, we've met our biggest match.
Eustace is the enemy now.
Yeah.
Like, attack, all cannons point on Eustace.
On him. Literally, they hit him with like 5 or 6 before Eustace like, I'm gonna go get my mallet and get you off my lawn.
My mallet. He just like starts hitting the leg.
Courage does make it to the porch, but unfortunately, he makes it there in the exact moment that they hit Muriel with a cannon. And she, obviously such a happy, pure soul, becomes a depressed zombie. Courage grabs her, she doesn't get hit again, puts her in the rocking chair where she just kind of slumps over and just slowly rocks back and forth. And we see how unhappy she is, that he tries to give her the happy plums, being like, these make me so happy. But she's so sad that she won't even eat them.
Oh, wow.
She just sitting there, and Courage is just heartbroken over this. So he pockets the plums are like in a little mug. And so he just pockets them and realizes the only answer must be in that tower. There must be an antidote to this in that tower. And so I do want to say here that Courage does get Eustace to help him in this. Eustace is the decoy, basically. He goes to the front door of the tower.
Well done.
Yeah. Knocks on the front door dressed up as a pizza delivery guy with a pizza box. Rat opens the door, gives him $20 for the pizza that he's like, I guess Zalost ordered some pizza, and takes the pizza inside where Courage is hiding. And now, real quick, before you think Eustace did this out of a love for trying to cure Muriel, we see him immediately hold up the $20 from Rat and say, Courage was right. This is the easiest $20 I ever made. Oh. And he pockets it and goes back home.
Sits down and watches TV.
Yep.
I mean, money was part of the equation, but remember, he needs someone to make him dinner too. And Muriel's not going to cook in her current
He's not getting
state.
off that rocking chair right there. She is too depressed, and he cannot have that. So again, not from any place of love.
Nope.
Who is the real criminal? Anyways, so inside Zalost's tower, there's this big winding staircase and this mad scientist lab where there's this huge, like room-sized cauldron bubbling with green liquid that the cannonballs from some giant machine are being dipped into. So clearly whatever's in this cauldron is clearly the source of like the unhappiness poison that all of these cannonballs are being laced with. Obviously, it doesn't take Rat long to notice Courage, who just jumped out of a pizza box and is now wandering this tower where only 2 people live. Yeah. And so Rat starts to chase Courage through this chemistry lab. Courage is knocking a bunch of shit over. And while he's doing that, some of the chemicals pour on Rat, which actually, instead of making him depressed, it was some other chemical, which makes him essentially Hulk out and grow bigger and stronger.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So who knows what else is going on in that lab.
Yeah. This is just one experiment.
Yeah, exactly. The unhappiness stuff was just one experiment. Yeah. I think the like Hulk out one was probably, again, like Zalost is really spindly and weak, and like was probably like never, he got put on the varsity teams because his parents paid his way, but like again he couldn't even like lift the ball, so he's like, I'll just like make myself big and strong when I become king with chemicals.
No one will even notice the difference.
Yeah, exactly. So Courage, ever the good boy, slingshots with nothing else to do, takes some of the plums from his pocket and slingshots them to Rat, which somehow like Rat doesn't eat them, it just like bonks them, but somehow the vinegar doesn't mix with the Hulk out chemicals, and Rat all of a sudden snaps into just like a little baby rat. Aww. Just like a little, it's actually like real cute. Yeah. He's got a little diaper on. He's like a little crummy rat.
Jeez, they like totally like, what is it? Just demasculated him, or emasculated him. You are a baby now. Yeah, you wear a diaper.
Yes, exactly. So Courage continues his way up the tower, but unfortunately is immediately grabbed and tied up by Zalost. In another example, Zalost only wanting to get his way no matter what, Zalost lights a cannon and says, yeah, I'll cure Mariel of this unhappiness. Clearly that's who you care about, if you can solve my puzzle before this cannon goes off.
Oh.
And Courage, I will say, does solve the puzzle. But again, in what I just said of Zalost getting his way no matter what, Zalost still sets the cannon off right on Courage. But luckily, Courage is able to like matrix evade it, because he was just tied up and not tied to anything. So like he could still hop around.
And run away.
So he starts to hop away and like wiggle out of the rope, but Zalost grabs him and straight up immediately starts choking him while holding him over like the edge of a balcony. Because this tower is so big, there are balconies inside the tower.
Dang.
And so he's straight up like holding him over the edge above the cauldron, like a couple floors down with the unhappiness chemical cauldron. And Courage, thinking fast, takes the mug of plums out of his pocket and chucks the mug at Zalost right in the face. So he drops him. So he doesn't like feed him the plums. He's just like, knock you out, baby.
Projectile, go.
Boom. Which was smart, but Courage didn't really think through the fact that like he's still dangling over like multiple floors of a drop. And Zalost does drop Courage. Luckily, Courage is able to grab onto the edge, but the mug ricochets off of Zalost's huge forehead and tumbles down to the depths of the cauldron below. And when the happy plums in the mug make contact with the chemical bubbling, boiling cauldron, all of a sudden it starts fizzling and bubbling even more and starts to turn from green to bright pink. And then whatever chemical reaction, again, this vinegar, quote unquote, whatever Mariel's secret ingredient is,
TCP,
starts exploding. Everywhere. Left and right, drenching all of the cannonballs, which also start exploding and flying off the tower as the roof of the tower blows its top. The tower, the cannonballs again are all bright pink now and shooting their way. It made me think of like mixing like Coke and like Mentos or whatever. Like exploding. It's basically what's happening, and projectiling these now bright pink cannonballs everywhere. But as it hits the citizens of Nowhere, all of a sudden the color returns to their skin, the energy returns, the lights of their eyes turn back on, and happiness returns to their hearts. We see the little girl get hit and immediately start jump roping again.
She was still standing there.
She was like slumped over. As an entirely unimportant to the plot, but so fucking funny that the writers put this in. we had seen earlier an unhappiness cannonball hit like a duck who was standing on like a street corner. And then we see it's not like Dr. LeQuack, but just like a random duck.
Duck.
No, we see him get hit with the pink cannonball and like jump back up and be like, I'm back, baby, and like waltz into the street all happy. And then you see him get hit by a car. Like straight up slammed by a car in the street. It's so funny.
He's back.
He's back, baby. So anyways, Courage,
oh my God. Sorry.
Quickly thinking, knowing needs to get away, grabs a happiness cannonball now, grabs baby rat because he's like, he shouldn't be stuck with this mad scientist, and runs to the farm to cure Muriel, which he quickly does. He just, touches her with the happiness cannonball and she lights back up. Courage for a moment thinks everything's better, but Zalost bursts in through the front door, like had made his way through like the flames and like the destruction of his exploding tower again to the music.
Oh my God, I forgot about the music.
I will not let you forget about the music.
Please don't. Oh my God, I can't wait to rewatch this one. Because I do not remember the music.
Disheveled from the explosion, and he was able to save one unhappiness cannonball. That again, he cues right in on Muriel, basically saying like, all right, she's clearly the target here. She's the most important one to make unhappy because this little dog is trying to foil my plans. So Courage grabs Muriel and runs her into the kitchen to hide under the table, where they adorably embrace with Muriel, thanking Courage for saving her. But obviously, Zalost easily follows them in, walks right into the kitchen. You see like the doors open. You see his like torn up legs from the explosions walking in. And then he sees the dessert on the table and starts to help himself to the plums. He starts to low-key, like we hear him like choking and hacking on them.
Oh, shit.
And then we see him very slowly like come down under the table, but he's no longer green. He's just some Croatian white dude
He's
now.
just Caucasian.
Yeah, European man now.
Okay.
The bags from under his eyes are gone, and that deep embedded frown is replaced for the first time ever with a smile.
Aww.
And I surmise that the secret ingredient here that turned Zalost into someone who is maybe not depressed anymore was not vinegar, but rather was a meal made with love, which was something his parents never gave him.
Wow.
And so we end our episode with Zalost taking Rat into his arms, loving him as he's his little child now, and Zalost saying he's never felt so happy in his entire life. And all it took was a little bit of love, attention, and plums. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's
wow. You say plums, I say PCP. But yeah.
And drugs.
And drugs.
And a heavy dose of drugs from Muriel, the drug pusher of the
right.
show.
I mean, when you said that like it caused the explosion and everything, it's like, okay, so it is meth.
So a meth lab gone bad.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a criminal town. Like she could be making meth out there.
The Winnebago, you got to put it to use.
Yeah.
Wow. Great job. Amazing.
Thank you.
I love it. Look at these past two episodes of the theme is that you need some love. It's all about love. Yeah. So what happens when he runs out of the plums? Like, does he have Muriel on like speed dial now? Like, I'm almost out. I need a fresh batch. I'm going to do something crazy if I don't get
I think
more.
He permanently moves to nowhere and just becomes like the town druggie. Like, like everyone's got that one person in town who's like really addicted, but they're not doing anything bad at all. They just need a couch to crash on. Like you want to help them. You want to take them to AA, but also like Narcotics Anonymous, but you're also like, actually, they're a lot more pleasant in their horrible addiction.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna keep Zalost on those drugs.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what it is.
Cool.
Yeah, but this could be yet again a criminal origin story though for a rat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
although now that Rat is getting some TLC too, though, from Zalost, it's like maybe his life will turn around too, or maybe he's really just like, no, man, I want that money.
Yeah, exactly.
Please, like, experiment on me again so I can go steal more money.
Is this the origin story of Bubbles from Rescue Rangers?
You know,
who moves back to New York City as a street rat, hooks up with Pop Top to run a cult to get that money.
I did think about that when you mentioned like this hulking like street New York City street rat. I was like, oh, maybe he's like he works with Pop Top. I couldn't remember his name though. Bubbles. Yep. All I could remember was your description, the Lucha Libre.
Sumo wrestling.
Yeah.
Yep.
Go back
crossover
a few episodes and listen
to
our
Rescue Rangers.
Yeah, we did an episode about like cults and stuff. Go find it. It's very funny.
There.
We tie all of our shows together. Turns out these classic animated shows are only so different. they have a lot of common ground.
I will say in another crossover, which I haven't watched yet, but my friend Carl has mentioned on the show before, did point out that in the last few years, they did like a Scooby-Doo Courage crossover.
Did they?
I think needs to be like a bonus content for us, like a very special episode one day for us.
Yeah, one day we're gonna have to find that because I don't even.
Yeah, I think it was kind of recent. Yeah. So, anyways,
put a pin in that. Thank you, Carl, for the recommendation.
Yes. So, there you have it. I can't wait.
Job.
Everyone needs to go watch this episode purely for the accents and the music. The plot and stuff is good, but like
sure. I also I have vivid memories of Rat in particular from this episode. Like I vaguely remember watching this one when I was younger, but for some reason Rat just like lives in my mind rent free, and just like him running down these dark hallways. I for some reason have memories of that. Very creepy. Okay. Yeah. I can't wait to go back and watch.
Good.
Rewatch and relive.
Yes, amazing.
Great job. So real quick, I was not expecting. I thought you were going to do like one half of the episode today, and then your next episode do the other half. So cool. That was nice. Good way for you, like double dipping there a little bit. Liking it. Nice.
Yeah, and they like didn't even like split up the episode. I think they just titled it part 1 and part 2 because they like make every episode 2 mini episodes. But this one was just smoothly just one 22-minute episode instead of 11 minutes.
That was going to be my next question. Like, did they stop it at a certain point?
Nope,
and pick it back up? Okay, cool. Yeah. They should have done that more often. I could have gone for some 22-minute Courage episodes.
Yeah, it gave like a little more background into seeing like the criminal with like the extra time and that type of stuff. So yes, a very fun, great episode to watch. Again, HBO Max. I think the title of it was like The Tower of Dr. Zalost, like part 1 and part 2, episode 13, I think season 2. So
cool.
We will be back, next week with more Courage. And between now and next week, Alexis, who should they tell about this podcast?
I think this week you should tell, since we shat on them a little bit earlier, we'll bring it back. Redemption. Tell a journalist. They're not lazy. they like doing their jobs.
Yes, they are good at it.
Sometimes you get hit with writer's block. Sometimes maybe you get hit with an unhappiness cannonball. Something gets in the way and you can't. It's hard to stay up to date on the news. But find a journalist, tell them watch Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And then write about it and how great it is.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Put it in WAPO or New York Times. We'll see how that goes.
Nice. And I think after you tell the journalist, I was going to say tell like the newsies, but they don't exist anymore. Like extra, get your paper here, a nickel.
Where do you buy your newspapers?
But the modern equivalent of newsies is like they are still like, in cities usually like kind of like street corner like newsstands who like also sell magazines, snacks, that type of stuff. So you should tell your local vendor. They're working hard out there, especially in the summer. It's hot in those things. So tell them, grab a paper while you're there, grab a little Snickers bar or something.
Yeah.
And be like, you guys stand here all day long, put on Sat Morn Miss. You'll enjoy it.
Yeah, listen to it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And until then, we'll see you next week.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.